know. Hello, Dribble World, Dribble community. Very excited for everyone to be joining us today. Please let us know in the chat where you are viewing today's event from. We have a good one getting started here pretty shortly. We have someone from Iowa. Hey, Max. We have people from Egypt, Singapore. Wow. Seattle. Okay. Melbourne, Australia. This is going to be a fun one. Very cool. So awesome to see everyone joining and dropping where they're visiting from. My name is Fawaz. I am located in Denver, Colorado. I'm a part of the Dribble team here. We've got a great one for you today. We have Joseph Berry, who is a great freelance experience designer and founder of JB Studio London. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of animation and interaction. Before I kick it off to him, just a few housekeeping notes. We have our chat. If you have any thoughts or questions as we kind of go throughout this process, feel free to drop some notes in there. We will have some polls throughout this. We'd love your engagement, so please answer those. We want to know if you get the answer. That's awesome. We want to know if you've used these tools before. That's super helpful for us to know so that we can kind of tailor our education for you moving forward. We also do have a limit on how many people are actually in the Zoom invite. If you have any friends trying to join, just send them over to Dribble's YouTube channel. There's a live stream there as well for them to join. So before I kick it off to Joseph, I just wanted to send a huge shout out to our friends, our sponsors, our partners at Webflow. I've been blessed to work with a lot of companies in the design scene. Webflow is an organization that really walks the walk. They love this community. They want to continue to put on awesome events like this for the community. If you're starting a freelance agency business or you just want to take it to the next level, check them out. But that's it for me. Very excited to bring Joseph on stage, and we'll kick it off here shortly. Thank you all.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Thanks, Foz. That was a great introduction. Super excited to be doing this Dribble/Webflow workshop with you. As mentioned, we're going to be covering the power of animation and interaction. So I'm super excited about that. We've got a really exciting workshop. Got a lot to get in, so I'm going to try and move as smoothly as possible. And I hope you all learn a thing or two along the way. And as mentioned, we're going to have a little bit of interaction as well. So please do get involved when you can. I think we're going to jump straight into it. No wasting time. Let's get into the power of animation and interaction. So I'm just going to share my screen. I'm just going to get it up here. Classic. I've done it in Figma. I've created my own little deck here. So as I mentioned, this is the power of animation and interaction, and it is with me, Joseph Berry. Moving into what we're going to be covering today. So we have an introduction. So obviously I'm going to introduce myself, talk a little bit about me. Not going to bore you too much with that. Then we're going to look at some of my principles and ethos. So these are some things that hold dear to me and the way that I look at animation and interaction and things to think about when you're creating animations and interactions. We're going to look at the fundamentals. So easing, timing, delay, and how they all play a vital role in creating super engaging and exciting animations. The thing is with animation, it's really important about being purposeful with them. And I know we can get a bit carried away with trying to apply lots of animations to lots of things, but it's trying to understand the type of animation that you need to apply across a different type of project. And that then lends itself into the animation examples. Once we've done the animation examples, where I'll walk through a range of examples which have been created by me, and I will show you a different way and approach for each project and how animation and interactions played a crucial role in really elevating that experience. Finally, we'll finish up with a Q&A. So hopefully you have some nice questions and things to ask as we move through. Okay, that's it. Let's rock and roll. So starting off with a little introduction. So for those that don't know me, my name is Joseph Berry. I'm currently a freelance experience designer based in London, and I run a studio called JB Studio London. I've been in the industry for over a decade. I've primarily come from an agency background. I spent my time working in a number of global agencies, working for a number of really cool brands. Some of them brands would include Honda, GSK, Pringles, Oreo, Specsavers, and many more to name. I call myself an experience designer because I really love to create an experience. And that all stems from the early initiation point of creating a brand and then moving into that web and digital space. That's where I'm heavily predominantly in. But I do also like to create that experience and really build a beautiful brand and experience based on that. So enough about me. Let's go into a quick question. We're just going to start this little question. I know there's probably a lot of people here, and there will be some questions popping up, which is just going to get some general interaction on who actually has heard about Webflow and who actually uses Webflow. So we'll give you a little moment just to plug in who knows Webflow and who actually uses Webflow. It'd be great to see this. As you can see, we can kind of get the little results coming up here, which is great. Got a lot of movement going on. Looking pretty even at the moment. Okay. I'll give it a little bit longer. I won't go too long, just so we can keep moving along, and we can obviously highlight that at the end. But to me, it's looking very even. Very, very even. Okay. So there's a lot of people that know. There's not so many that know, but there is quite a few in both pockets of knowing and using. So that's good. Great. Okay. I think we'll move from that and we'll move into the first section of this workshop. So starting off with principles and ethos, and trying to keep this super simple. I think there's a couple of key areas that I try and cover. We're going to have some general principles, and then we're going to have some animation principles. So for general principles, what I'm trying to look at is using animation to enhance the experience. And I think this touches on that first point when we think about animation and interaction, is sometimes we overdo it. And I think that is the problem with animation and interaction. It's really about creating an experience and how we can elevate that experience. So it's being sophisticated in the choices and how we use animation to really tell and engage the user and create that story. So that's really, really important. Another one is for looking for flow and balance. Now, this comes into being holistic in the way that you approach a page or an experience, and thinking about how everything comes together and how everything flows in a really nice, like, balanced way. So not the animations kind of jutting in and they're unstaggered, or there's, you know, there's not this kind of free flowing feel. And I think one way to look at animations is to kind of, some of them need to be noticed and some of them don't. They need to be kind of subtle and in the backgrounds, and that kind of subconsciously elevates that experience without it over dominating the experience. So that's really important, looking for that flow and balance. The other one is bringing emphasis to elements. So this is where animation and interaction from a UX point of view is where it really shines, because where we want to emphasize certain elements, maybe introducing a CTA or introducing tab elements, or bringing emphasis to something that you want the user to actually look at and engage with. So bringing emphasis to elements is really, really important. Less is more. I'm sure we've heard this many, many times, and I would apply this across every aspect of design, animation, web development. Less is more. Try and find a good balance without trying to overdo it. And I think it's sometimes making the right decisions and saying to yourself, does this work? Is this right? What is the benefit? Where is the logic? Where is the purpose? Where is the reason? And then actually having something that is more meaningful and purposeful than just doing it for the sake of doing it. So less is always more. Now into the animation principles and ethos, again, pretty straightforward. Some of you may be aware, but again, I think it's good just to go over these because they are important. Explore easing options. I know that sounds really, really silly, but when I'd done this workshop before, I asked people, you know, do you explore the different easing options? And I was surprised by a lot of people, they didn't. They didn't actually explore the different easing options. And this is where you can really start to add that sophistication and layering of different easing options, different types, and how they work together and how they actually create different animation visual styles. I think that's also one thing to think about when you're choosing an animation. easing option is what style is that trying to convey? Is it fun and snappy? Is it smooth and silky? So thinking about them easing options is going to really help create that kind of look and feel that you're probably trying to achieve. The use of combination of animations. So this is where we actually look at if we're doing a move, a transition move. Maybe we do a transition move and a scale. Maybe it's a fail, a scale, a fade, a scale, and a move. And when you start to layer up the combinations of animation, again, that starts to bring this level of sophistication, because just moving a block from one side to the other, if we was going to do that, it's probably going to look quite static and boring. And how we can elevate that is by applying different animations on top of that. So it might not just be a singular animation type, it may be thinking about other animations that you can apply on top of that. So really using combination of animations. In the examples that you'll see, you'll understand why that is so important, because it will just push things so far. Fine tune, easing and delay. So yeah, I've spent hours and hours on trying to fine tune and get into the details of the easing, delay. And again, how short and how long you do a duration on an easing type will change the appearance of that animation. So again, it's really important to play with that. And then what we spoke about with delay is really going to come with that flow and balance, how we bring things in so they kind of flow in a really nice way. I would say, look at it like a crescendo when you're trying to animate things. You're kind of trying to make them flow so you have enough opportunity to see the elements come in, but then you're not also doing it so it's like, So you're really creating this flow, and just looking at them easing options and delay is really, really going to help that. And again, with the examples that we'll walk through, you will see that come into play and come to fruition. Now, the other one, which is a little bit more subconscious and maybe not, you don't necessarily see it, is thinking about objects and the distance. So for instance, if you have a small object and you move that across the page, you actually might need to slow that down, because it's smaller, its perspective of its speed is going to feel different. And then also the same with a larger object. If it's larger, it's dominating more of the screen, so you will see that more, and it might not necessarily need to be as long, it might need to be shorter. And that's something that's quite interesting, especially when you're doing big shifts in movements, is looking at the actual element size and then again fine-tuning that based on that element size. So they are some principles and ethos. And there's one question that I do get asked a lot, and it's, how do I create amazing animations? There is no golden potion for this. There is no magic remedy. I think it's just really standard processes and procedures that just need to be practiced and practiced and practiced, and repetition and repetition and repetition. So references, of course, are always a good place to start, making sure that you take in references, understand how they work, and use them as a base to inspire and kind of give you some sense of direction of what kind of animations you might want to try and create. And that leads on to study and analyzing. And it's really just about studying and analyzing and just really just getting into animation for the web, and really looking at what people are doing and how they're doing it is going to make you better. I would say, fill your brain as an encyclopedia, so that when you grow in understanding of how animation can work, so you can kind of be a little bit more free flowing with how things are going to work, because there's certain number of ways that things can move and be animated inside of the web browser. So having that good arsenal in your brain will help you be able to start to evolve and push and create even more advanced and exciting animations. Practice is super important. So always practice. I've been doing this for 15 years. I'm still practicing. I say you're never a master. So just keep practicing, and that's the most important thing. Try things out, trial and error. It might work, it might not work. It doesn't really matter. It's just about practicing, and that's something that I spent a lot of time on doing. And then the other one is through good design choices. I think for me, the design also sets you up for what type of animations that you can do. Now, let's just look at this deck, for instance, if we was going to kind of just shift back and have a little look at some of these screens. So, you know, this could easily be a homepage hero section. You know, to me, there's already a number of things that can happen. We can obviously fade in and animate these elements. We've got a text block, so maybe the text animation could come in. We have this R symbol, which is actually animated, so that could be spinning around. The draw line could actually draw itself down, and you can imagine how that kind of all comes together in a really nice way. Again, over to this screen, there's some really, really nice animations here I'm seeing. We've got these little image pop out. So you imagine the little image opening out, and then you've got that text animation rolling up, and then you've got the borderline that's going to draw along like this. And then we would have an amazing staggered effect where we would do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's going to feel so dynamic. I can already see it in my head how that would look with that image wiping out and then the text rolling in and the borderline. Chef's kiss, it would look great. I would love that. Introduction again here, pretty simple, and we will kind of cover this as an example, but I'm going to show you how you could elevate something as simple as a block of text on top of a visual, and how, again, we can bring that to life in a really nice way. So for me, good design choices will help you. And again, having that encyclopedia of things to do, again, you can set them design choices up to be able to actually execute them animations. And that's kind of how I prepare, with references and obviously analyzing and looking at other people's work and then interpreting that in my own light. So great. Let's move on to the fundamentals. And inside of the fundamentals, this is where we are going to jump inside of Webflow. We're going to have some fun, hopefully. Hopefully it goes as smoothly as possible. If anyone does use Webflow, as we know, things can go wrong, but I've set it up as good as possible. So starting off with, so obviously we have easing, which is basically a word that describes the movement. So from the start and the stop point. So as I said, there's a range of easing options that we can see. Then we have timing. So that's the timing of the easing option. And again, the duration of that is also going to affect how that easing type looks. And then we have delay, how we delay them elements to create this kind of staggering effect, or a way that we can bring elements in a sophisticated way. So jumping in, I'm just going to switch to this section. Now, I have created a little microsite, and there is a little bit of a takeaway, but we'll get to that later. But just so you're aware of what this is a little project that will be available to clone. I will also give you the deck as well, so you can take that away. And there's also a little challenge, which I'm excited to see what you guys come up with. So, okay, so as you can see here, we have that visual, as I said. We've got a couple of elements in here. We've got the text element. I've also done this little borderline. And there is also another little element inside of here. So if I go and just have a little look at this, as you can see, kind of straight away, you know, there's no animation on this at all, apart from the movements that we've just created. So I'm going to kind of break this down bit by bit here. So if I go to the interaction panel, and we've got a page load. So we're going to do a page load animation. And I've got all of the elements in here, as we can see. We've got all of the elements. Now, the first element that I'm going to do is I'm going to create this kind of intro wipe. So we're going to look at some timings on this. We're also going to look at the duration, and then we're going to look at the delay, and then we're going to kind of build up this intro sequence of how this all comes to life. So inside of this parent wrap that I've got here, which is called intro wipe, there's 3 blocks, and these 3 blocks, I won't go into too technical in terms of how it's set up from a CSS perspective, but there's 3 blocks in there, the absolute position. They're basically just layered on top of each other, and we're going to be animating them out of the frame. So that's something to think about with the web. The frame is not just contained to what you see inside. So think about, you can bring things out of the frame, in the frame, any direction you want. So just something to bear in mind when you are creating animations for the web. So we have these 3. So we've got the yellow one, we've got the blue one, and we've got this one. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to select all of these for the moment, and I'm just going to play around with the easing option. So I'm just going to do ease. So you'll see that that ease already just changed that a little bit, that movement. And that's ease. So I'm just going to drop that and I'm going to put it up to 1 second. Now, as you can see, that's just started to change it again, just to slow it down a little bit. It gives the user a little bit of chance to see that wipe. We could slow it down even more. Again, you obviously see this just slowed down, getting a little bit softer. You see how that animation just starts to change a little bit from being really quick to 0.5. Yeah, it's like too quick. You kind of don't get to see it. But it could be snappy. It could be snappy like that. You might want to increment it and just do 0.8. Yeah, like there's a little bit more of a better feeling there with that not being so quick. And then I'm going to kind of stick around with 1. And now I'm going to kind of show you different easing options. So again, there's just so many here. There's so many here. And kind of where my sweet spot is around here. Ease out and ease in out. And you can use a combination. So if we do out quart, you'll see that see how it just slightly slows down as we get to the bottom part of this. So I just go, yeah, see, it just so subtle at the bottom, it just starts to slow down. And if we pump this one up again with the duration to 1.5, you see again how that just starts to really slow down as it gets to the end of that animation. It just starts to make things feel a lot smoother. Again, 2 seconds. Oh, I love the way that just kind of draws down. Now we've got the 3 panels, so I'm thinking these actually probably need to be a little bit kind of quick. And then what we can do is we can kind of stagger them with the delay. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move this here and I'm going to just take this off quickly. We got blue, yellow. So we got to reverse this. So I believe if the yellow goes first, let me just check. I think that's the pink. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delay the pink 0.1 for the moment. And then I'm also going to delay the blue 0.2. So we've got 0, 0.1 and 0.2. Let me just see. There you go. So you see already how that's just started to create this beautiful kind of card wiping effect. Now, as we can see, 2 seconds is too long for sure. We want to speed that up. I feel like we're going to go 1 second, and that's where we're going to get that. So as you can see here, yeah, it's already starting to love it. Already, like small but nice little change there. I think 1 second is good. And then what I will do is I will actually show you, like, I kind of space out my times 0.5, 0.1, 0.2, 0.4, and then there is some kind of in middle points where you might want to just tweak that even more, fine tune it. The reason why I work to that base is it just, again, gives you a little bit of consistency with the animations. And again, that's really important. The consistency of the animation, the timing, the duration, the delay, all of that is really important. So having a mental pattern of how you do that is really, really going to help. So I will put this one on 0.4, and then we'll put the second one on 0.2. So that's kind of showing you a different one. And again, you'll see how that just slightly changes again. Great. Now, what I'm also going to do is I am going to make it a bit quicker. I'm going to go to that 0.8, and that's kind of that incremental one that I was just talking about. I feel like that's a good balance for me. Loving that. Great. So now we need this text intro, and I really want to bring emphasis to that title. So we're going to do a really nice kind of staggered text effect. This is all possible inside of Webflow natively. Now, what I've effectively done, as you can see here, this is a heading one. I've individually wrapped each of these in a span. So a span is kind of just wrapping each of the individual letters. And then there's a class applied to each of these. So it's just a sequence 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so on. And then we can actually then target each of them and animate them how we want. And this is where it starts to get fun, because I love creating animations like this. So let's go into here. I would need to find one. So let's quickly, I think one is going to be that bottom one, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay, so we're going to go to one. I'm going to put this on 0.4 because we're going to kind of want this to kick in just as the kind of loader comes down. So we've kind of set our easing option, which is out quart. I'm going to go to here, and I'm going to still keep it on quart, but I'm actually going to do an in-out quart. And I love this because it kind of goes quick, slows down, and it's got this really beautiful movement. that is just super nice. And I will put it on 0.8 to see how that feels. Now, to me, again, think of the scale. Remember what we said earlier about the scale and how that scale, like that 0.8, that doesn't, it moves a lot quicker to me. It feels like it moves a lot quicker. So I'm gonna crank it up. So I'm gonna go 1.5 now. And now that's starting to feel more in sync with the rest of the animation. Now I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to go 0.2. Now, to me, that is a good starting point, and I like where that's looking and heading. So let's just go through, and now I'm going to time these out. So I'm going to go 0.5, in, out, core, 1.2. This is a little bit back and forth, but you'll see. In, out, core, 0.6, 1.2, that's 3, that's 4. See, I'm just making sure that these are in the right sequence. 7, 1.2, core. I'm probably just going to do, I'm going to do this way. There's many ways to skin a cat in this. I'm just going to kind of basically just time them out, and then I can go through and just do the easing options. Then we're on 1. They're on 1.1, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4, and then the final one is 1.5. Now I can go back through these quickly. I think I can select all of them, and I'm going to change the easing out quart. That's great. I do believe I can do that sometimes. Yes, it has allowed me to do that. And let's just have a quick look. Ah, there you go. And I'm just checking that everything looks good. That looks great. I am just going to quickly publish and preview. Key thing when we're working inside of the designer and actually previewing it live, is good to kind of get a good base here. And then once everything is kind of working, you can then get it up in the preview. Right, okay. So now I've seen it in the preview, I'm looking and I'm actually saying to myself, do you know what? This is a little bit slow. I would say it is a little bit slow. So I'm just going to, I did 1.5, that is why. And I now know why, because I know some of these are on, let's go 1. Let's just speed that up a little bit. Yeah, I think it's because we've got quite a long word here with quite a few letters. So we don't want to, drag it on. We kind of want to get it in and up as quickly as possible. Let's just have a little look. Great, love that, super stuff. Now we've got this little borderline that I brought in, and I kind of want it to just highlight the word. So it's going to kind of come in, highlight the word, and then it's going to move out. So again, just adding a little bit more emphasis to that element. And again, we're just playing around with the timings and delay here. So we've got the borderline is basically hidden in the div, which has got like an overflow hidden, and it's clipped. So yeah, it's moving out of that little box and then moving into the box. So it's pretty straightforward here. So I will go and put this at the end, kind of at the end. I'm going to use the in-out quart again. I'm going to go with a 2 second on that. And then I kind of want that out to be a bit quicker. And this is something that you should think about when doing animations, especially with like hovers and rollovers and just general have this kind of pattern. Things to come in, I think they can be a little bit more, slower, and they can just kind of introduce themselves. When they're going out, I think they're getting out the way. So for instance, example would be a button hover. When you hover it, maybe the animation's a little bit slower. It gives the time user to actually see that animation. When you hover out, maybe it's a bit quicker, so it goes away. Again, the out and in, it doesn't necessarily need to be the same. Another one would be a menu. If you're opening the menu and you've got a menu that opens out and the links kind of come in and they all stagger and it's kind of all looking really nice and silky, then on the way out, it's kind of, I'm closing that. I'm moving on to the next thing now. So I don't necessarily need to be, drawn into this big long animation. I'm getting ready. Let's move forward. So that's just something else to think about, which I think is quite nice as well. So on that out movement, I'm going to do the in-out quart, and I'm going to do the 1 second. And I'm just going to play it. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Love that. Love the little line. It just really, like, it's just something so small, but it just adds a little something to that. Now we can elevate this more. We've not finished. We've got this background video. And at the moment, obviously, we've got the wipe. It is obviously a video. This could be done with an image. So this effect, again, is something that I like to do. It just kind of, again, just brings a little bit more movement. And you see how we're layering up these animations now. So I'm going to do a scale on this. And I'm just going to go 1.2. So it's going to bring it right out the canvas. Imagine there, and it's going to be like that. And then what we're going to do is I'm just going to set it from the beginning. So as soon as it starts, we're going to go down to 1. So it's going to go back down to its original scale. And we're going to just do an ease. I'm going to keep this simple. And I'm probably just going to crank this right up. We'll see how much of a difference this makes. Yeah. See, like that little zoom on that video, just it's so simple, but it just draws you into that moment. Now, looking at the line now, so I am looking at the line. I think the line is potentially a little bit slow. So this is, again, where I'm just going to fine tune this. I feel like maybe 1 is a bit, 2 is a bit long. So I'm going to do 1.4. And then on the way out, let's do 0.8. And let's just see how that looks. Nice. Great. And then one final thing, I think we'll, again, thinking about this, if this was an intro lander, is the navigation. And I love to introduce the navigation. I think when you've got like a burger menu, again, it's not so obvious straight away if there's a burger menu. Depends how you design it, but I think just adding a little interaction, say, here's the navigation. You don't have to do this all the time. Again, this is just showing you how you can elevate things with just some nice little animations. We're just going to draw the animation again out of the viewpoint and bring it in, but we're going to delay it so that once everything's happened, then the menu comes in, and then like, oh, now I can interact and obviously search around if there's navigational links or a burger menu. So here we're going to do a move. We're going to move it, as you just saw, minus 100%. And we're going to wait until right until the end, till this menu comes in. I'm going to go 0%. I'm going to go to my trusty in-out court. I'm going to do 1 second, and I'm just probably going to delay this a little bit more. So I will go 1.7, just 2 along from that. And I'm going to just... Right, okay. So now, as you saw, there was a bit of a clash. Because the menu came in, the line, and you see how that slightly distracted you. So again, we're going to go back in there and we're going to tweak that now. So we know that actually this needs to be, I'm going to go 2. I'm really going to push it forward because it seemed that moved on somewhat. And then what I also want to look at is I think that's good on the in. I'm actually going to change this. Instead of an in-out, I'm going to go back to an out court. That will just help that move along a little bit more. Because the in-out court, as I said, it kind of slow stops. So it does kind of elongate that animation. So with the out court, it will just kind of move a little bit more, straightforward without it kind of going up and down. Let's just see. Okay. And that menu needs a little bit more delay, so even still. Let's go to 0.6. There you go. Perfect. Yeah, just needed it to wait time until the animation had set. And then obviously we can introduce that navigation, which just kind of finally finishes everything up. So hopefully that was super interesting. Hopefully you saw how the layering of animations, the duration, the timing, the delay, all really add a crucial role in creating really nice animations. So hopefully that was good. And we're going to jump back into the deck. So moving on. So now that we've gone through all of that, we're going to have a little quiz. We're going to have some fun. We're going to see who knows their easing options. So we're just going to do another poll that's going to come up for each of the questions. And here we are. So as you can see, we have 3 different easing types. And what I would like is for you to guess each of them. Now, we're going to do this very, very quickly because I don't want anyone Googling. And you need to punch in what you think each of these are. And then once we're good, we will quickly go through and see who got them right. It'd be interesting to see if you get them all right. I'm not even going to lie. I would probably get them wrong myself. So let's start that right now. If we can put the poll up for all of them questions. So we've got question 1. What is the ease? Oh, how long's that gone for? Should we do question 2? Question 2. This is really interesting to see. It's so good. We've got quite a few correct people going on both of the questions. So that's good to see. Great stuff. Okay, and now we're going to do question 3. Oh, this is the tricky one. Oh, I guarantee there is people right now with Webflow open, selecting the easing options, looking. If anyone's taken my course, they would know that one of these answers is my favorite animation type. So we'll see. Maybe there were some clues. Who knows? Okay. All right. Well, that was really good. I know you only had limited time. Not everyone could get in quick enough, but there was definitely enough people involved. So that was super stuff. So time for the answers. So number 1, so I started off simple, is an ease. It's an ease. There was a few people that did put in something else. Number 2 is an outback. So quite a few people got this one. So that is really good. As you can see, there is quite a clear distinguish here. It's because this line actually comes out of the motion grid here. And then the other one is my favorite one, which we just used, which is ease in out quart. And that is one of my favorite ones. As you can see, it's got that beautiful curve, which really creates that movement, and then it zips off, which for me, it just works on everything. It's my go-to 100%. So moving on, swiftly moving on, we're going to go into some animation examples. So this is talking through some examples that I have done with previous clients, which is going to demonstrate how we apply different types of animation and interaction at different levels to different sites. And I think this is really good to see because it shows you that it doesn't all have to be singing and dancing, and it doesn't have to be all crazy. So it's, again, thinking about the project, creating an animation style and making it work to create the best experience you can. So starting off with is Desktronic. Now, the animation style to this, I would consider light. The big emphasis actually is on video and product renders, and how the video plays and works with the site was more than enough to really bring this product to life. I think when I posted this, I said, stand-up desks are boring, but let's make them sexy. And this is what I actually try to do, is make stand-up desks sexy. So this is the first one. So we'll go and have a little look and walk through this. So as you can see, super simple intro interaction. There's not major animations or navigations, but as you can see, the hero is this beautiful render shot where it just really demonstrates the product. So we use animation in a slightly off subject way, where we're actually doing it through video and 3D renders, but it, again, is part of the site that can elevate it. So it doesn't necessarily need to be part of actually creating animations. There was a little text in animation, but we start to get into some more micro interactions. So really nice button hovers here. As you can see, a little bit of the layering going on. We have the wipe, we have the text roll, and we also have that really nice little arrow movement in there. So it just creates something super, super nice and interesting. Again, over here, we have little pop-out interactions. See how we're just really elevating how that cart comes out. Just bringing in some of them elements, again, staging them, the close button, the information to purchase also is really nice. Scrolling down, we've just got some really soft little bit of parallax movement there on the header, nothing major. Again, fading in of elements, just nice. Looking at the composition, just introducing things in a staggered way. We're not really going too crazy here. We're just really trying to elevate. Nice bit of movement here to introduce the slider. And then this is my favorite area where, again, the video has come into play to really demonstrate how we show the product and the features of the project in a really, really cool way. So we don't have to go overboard, but it still has enough animation for it to be a really nice experience. Then as we move down, we've got a few other little scroll in animations. Got a nice little ticker with the number, which is really nice. And then obviously finishing up with the footer. We have a really cool like reveal footer, which I think is really nice. Again, just small little details, small little elements, but really overall has created a super nice experience. Moving into Fates, which is a website that I did for a company that was creating kind of an online game. They're a really bespoke game studio. And they wanted a site which is going to talk about the project itself and bring the game to life. The animation for this is medium. So there's, again, combinations of some of the stuff that we've already seen in Destronic, but you'll see how it's just starting to elevate a little bit more, where we start to look at a little bit more and being a little bit more involved with the animations that we're trying to achieve in these examples. So as you can see here, straight away, the beautiful introduction of the nav and the borderline. So let's just do that again, because it happens so subtly sometimes. You've got the borderline, and then you've got the kind of grid that forms, which I just love. It just sets it. It just really, really sets it. And then we have that beautiful, the kind of logo animation in the middle. That was a Lottie. And then obviously we have this kind of really nice video in the background, which is kind of creating this sense of movement here, which again, I really, really like. It just kind of sets it, keeps it alive. Really cool little rollovers here again. Super, super nice. And then as we scroll down, again, we're going to see lots of cool little animations here. Just mind the little bit of lag delay from the screen share. So as you can see here, these little white dots are moving. There's a parallax movement on the globe below. And you can obviously see the grid line structure, which is forming this really cool shape as we move through. There's some really nice fade in animations. We've got a video here. Then we've got, again, some more fade in. We've got some ticker tape elements. We've seen some scrolling animations. We've got a slider. We've got some parallax movement on the side with this little light, getting these little details, not too much, but again, just adding that layer and sophistication to the animations just really makes this come alive a lot more. So it's really just about moving and driving the user and creating that flow as we spoke about. I'm going to calm down. Again, we've got a little bit more video material. Some nice animations here. I know this is a little bit laggy, so I do apologize for that. We've got this really nice system here where we can actually flick through these items. Really, really love this. And again, the movement, you see how we have that kind of delayed parallax movement. So it's basically two elements on top of each other, and one's kind of moving and the other one's shifting. And again, it just creates this really beautiful dynamic layering kind of animation. Then we go into a really nice scroll. So this is a sticky scroll animation. So this is like a timeline. Again, apologies for the lagginess on the screen recording. You've got these little animations to pop up, and then we open a panel, and then we can got further little more reading about this area of side of these kind of worlds that are in this game. So you kind of scroll through this. Yes, it's laggy. There's a little bit of a progress bar that you can see as we come through. We've got a little pulsing animation. So there's lots of little micro interactions. There's scroll animations. There's parallax. There's all sorts of different things going on here. We are having a little bit of a delay on this. So I'm just going to also close some of these because I feel like they're also going to sap up some energy. I am going to close Webflow as well, just for this final, just to make sure that we're okay. I'm also going to close that and that. No, I will keep that up. Oh, let's get rid of my emails quickly. Right, okay. So moving on to the final example, which is Flow Party. Flow Party on demand. Flow Party is a inclusive community space for designers, developers. It's run by Melissa Mendez, who created this great community. And there's also some learning and courses that we are applying, which I will speak to you about at the end, which I think would be, really interesting to hear. So let's jump into this example. This is where we do go full on. I hope that this works as well. What I may actually do, I don't know whether it would be worth for me to, I'm just going to open the chat and I'm going to put the URL in the chat here so that people can actually view this without having to see the lagginess. And that way I can kind of talk around it. So we go to the homepage. First of all, we start off with, again, that really beautiful wipe that we've just previously kind of created. And then there's just loads of really, really cool animations here. So we have the beautiful text animation. We've got the Lottie lines that are drawing out. We've got the introduction of the text. We've got the party pop-out sticker come together. And then we've got the Flowatar, which is our kind of little ambassador. But, you know, we've brought this to life in a really interesting way. So now we've got a mouse movement, which actually changes based on the position of when it goes to the color. As we scroll down, one of the most unique things about this is this kind of scrolling animation as we come through. Yes, it is going to delay a little bit, but you can see how we have this beautiful kind of scroll animation, which overlaps. And then we kind of move into the event section. As you can see, they're staggered in really nicely. We have some video, we've got image hovers, we've got a draggable slider here, which is really nice. And then as we move down, we've got beautiful text effects, we've got the Lottie animations, we've got parallax movement here, we've got fade ins, we've got transitions, we've got scroll-based animations. As we come through here, you'll see these split apart and just move away, which is so nice. As we move down, we go into other areas, which is talking about the Flow Party itself. You can see we've got these really nice sticky elements that kind of fold over the top. Here are the tutors. So this is something that I will talk about later, which is Flow Party on Demand, which is our kind of live cohort / video sessions that you can watch. And these are the tutors that are included. And then we'll go through some other nice sections here. Some beautiful kind of click interactions, lots of dynamic movement on that section. I love the way that these cards kind of open and close. Really, really cool. Just visually, obviously, this is very bold. The animations are very bold, but actually it works in a sophisticated way. Love this little Lottie here. I know this is kind of delaying a little bit. And then we also have the burger menu, which I also love. It's like a pill shape. Love how that works as well. So that is the 3 examples. I hope that was helpful. And I think that's just showing you like how different projects can accommodate different types of animations and how they work. But each of them work in their own right. And I think it's just being about, you know, thinking about the animation and applying it in the right way without, you know, making everything sing and dance all the time. It doesn't always need to be like that. So I think showing you them examples will hopefully give you some ideas of how that will all come together. Now, wrapping up, final bits, the challenge. We did this last time. We actually did this live. We did this live in the workshop, and I got everyone in groups, and they all basically used an example that I had created, and they brought it to life. And I just wanted to see what people did after this session, being inspired, hopefully having some ideas in your head and actually bringing something to life. So we're going to do the same, which we will follow up with the clonable link for Webflow. And there'll be obviously some more information around the little challenge and what you need to do and when you need to get it back. But we'll effectively be animating this little landing page that I have created. And I've created a whole little microsite, and there is other areas that you could play around with and kind of bring to life if you wanted to. But yeah, just I thought it would be nice to do this again. So I have prepared something which I will just quickly pull up, which I believe is here. There's a couple of things that I need to do to this. So as you can see, we've got this all built. It is in Webflow. I still need to make a few tweaks. There is going to be clues in here to things that I would potentially do. Now, there's a couple of things that I would say. One would be totally fine with you to change the design. If you want to change the design, extra bonus points for that, because yeah, I'd like you to see you put your own touch on it. If you want to try your own things and even slightly evolve it, go for it. I think that's also going to be taken into consideration. And then trying to animate these elements, thinking about what might happen. Obviously, we've got some links, we've got some text, we've got these 3 image blocks, we've got comp details. That doesn't, really do anything at the moment. Could that do something? I don't know. So hopefully there's some little things in there. When you get into the Webflow, there will be some CSS that is set up that will, again, give you a little bit of an indication of what could happen. I didn't want to give too much away because I want you to put your own touch on it. And that was what was so good to see when we did this last time, is how people brought this to life. And that is the challenge. Hope you all accept. Not all of you, but I hope you get involved. It will be fun. I'm actually going to do it myself. Because I haven't even animated it myself. So I'm going to do this with you as well. And that brings me to a wrap. Where you can find me, obviously, my website is josephberry.webflow.io. On X/Twitter is josephberry88. On Instagram, Joseph Berry Design. And then if you want to find me on LinkedIn, it's Joseph Berry. And then one final thing which I did want to speak to you about is, obviously, if you want to learn more from me and other people in this space, Flow Party On Demand has a great cohort which is currently ongoing. There is live versions where you can actually attend the live sessions. Registration for that has closed, but there is also the recordings do get published after, where you can actually purchase the full set of recordings. Which in total, I think is 32 hours, 8 hours per tutor. And the tutors are me, which is obviously Joseph Berry. I will be covering experience design, and I will talk about how to set projects up, how to analyze briefs, how to present work, how to create designs, how to concept, and really show you how I prepare and get the client on board with the ideas that I'm bringing to the table. Then we have Diego, who is a master in 3D and spline. So this course really offers a wide variety of learning skills. So 3D and spline, he will teach you how to create the speaker itself. We did the project on a product and we called it SPK28, and it's actually a speaker. And it looks amazing. So Diego will show you the basics all the way to creating the speaker itself and bringing it to life, and many other things. So lots of good stuff inside of that. Then we have Jonathan Morin, who is going to do creative development. He's going to be walking you through everything inside of Webflow, how we built it, how we brought it to life, how we animated it. So you're really going to get under the hood of everything that you can do inside of Webflow. And then the wizard, Ilya Van Eck, at the end, he's going to do technical development. He's really going to show you how to really push this. I don't know if there's anyone here that does any development, but there will be stuff regarding GSAP, custom JavaScript, and he's really going to show you how to create more advanced animations and techniques inside of Webflow. And that's it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I don't know why I picked that picture. I don't look so great there, do I? That was the wrong screenshot. And that is it. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm going to stop the screen share. And I guess we do a little Q&A if that's possible, if the timing's still good. If not, we can wrap up.
We can do some Q&A.
Sweet. Great stuff. Cool. That was a bit of a mouthful, guys. Cool.
Okay. I wanted to make sure you saw some of these so I can call them out if you'd
Yeah.
like. We have them at the bottom Q&A button as well, but I can read them out loud. So
Yeah.
uh, let's see. Let's start with how do you account for responsiveness in animations?
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. So in terms of responsiveness inside of animations with Webflow, now the first thing could probably be looking at the properties that you're using. So if you're building stuff with fixed units, so stuff like pixels, then there could be some responsive issues that you may face. Using percents or viewpoint width, viewpoint height, rem is also okay. Things are going to scale down to proportion. So that is one thing to consider when you're building animations in mind. Even with the text elements. So instead of using a fixed unit, use viewpoint width. So you think about how that text is going to it will literally scale all the way down to mobile without actually having to change any CSS through the breakpoints. Obviously, you have your breakpoints. So when you're going through your breakpoints, adjusting accordingly to that. And there may be some instances where it doesn't. So that's where what we can do. And it's not, I wouldn't say this is super advisable, but it's definitely a solution because one thing that we need to think about when we're building animations in Webflow is we know the more we add to this, the more impact we're going to have with performance. And I know, obviously, you're going to have people that are super on performance and performance is key and da-da-da-da. Again, that's down to the different type of project, what you're trying to serve. If you're trying to create an experience, there's going to be some compromises that need to be made, but there is still some good practices in place that should be in place. So what you can do in Webflow is I can create an animation for desktop and tablet. So I create one and then I would duplicate that and I would then do a mobile version of that animation. And then where we have the triggers inside of Webflow, so you can actually trigger an animation depending on the breakpoint. So what we can do is for the first animation, we say trigger only on desktop and tablet. And then the second animation, we say trigger on landscape and mobile. And that way, then we can make some more drastic changes to the animation. For instance, maybe we've got a bit of a move on one of the elements. Now that move on a desktop, because we've got the space to move into, it's not going to get cropped off maybe or push into other elements. Now, again, the unit of what we use in that animation could also be beneficial in terms of using percent or viewpoint width. So then when we get down to mobile, we can obviously adjust that. So yeah, that would be the way. I know that was quite a long-winded answer, but there's quite a few little things in there that you can look at to accommodate that.
Love it. Here's another one from Taya, which I think is a good one. When starting to design a project, how do you start to plan or design your animations? Do you have a sketching, wireframing equivalent?
Okay, another good question. As I said with that point, how do I create amazing animations? I think, as designers, we need to understand that everything is some form of interpretation, plagiarism. And what we need to do is we really need to understand what we're looking at and how we can interpret that in our own light. So as I said, there isn't any major magic potion that I do. As I start to design out, I'm seeing animation patterns build up. Now, the reason why them animation patterns are potentially building up for me is because I've spent a lot of time studying and analyzing different animations. So that's why them little steps that I spoke about earlier are really, really important because that will help you. Now, we can go into some different practices. If you want to sketch out, do a little drawing, like look how it's moving in, get a little bearing for how that might look. Go and find a reference. Oh, I really like the way that moved in. Bring that reference into the board. Think about what you're designing, looking at how that reference, see how you can kind of, get something to work in a really nice way. Obviously you don't want to copy it, you don't want to rip it off, but getting in good practice to be able to understand them patterns is going to really help. If you want to prototype it, of course, prototype it. For me, I would just prototype it straight in Webflow. I wouldn't prototype it in Figma or After Effects. Because I can do it in Webflow and, it just makes a lot more sense to me. References, studying, looking, if you want to sketch, just consume yourself, be consumed and consume yourself. And that's going to really help you think about what you want to do and make them good design choices, and that will help.
Love that. References and consuming yourself segue here. Do you recommend, and we'll leave this as our final question, do you recommend any specific sites, socials to find inspiration for animation design? I have a biased answer here, but I'll let you.
Of course, Dribble is going to be one place to go. Of course, that would definitely be on top of the list, and I use Dribble a lot. There's a lot of really, really good web designers and developers on Dribble. Too many to name, but there's a lot that I follow, and they put out brilliant work. So Dribble is always a good. You got your Behance, of course, AAW awards. You've got Webflow. Webflow also have the showcase, which again shows great animation and interaction. We have Site Inspire, which I also really like. We have AAW awards. We have Webbies. Really just your traditional ones. I mean, even Pinterest, you might find things on. I think, you know, again, it's not like we all use the same stuff. Like, there's not really many places that are good where you can really curate. And I think if you're going to do that, just curate your own kind of space. Again, like, same if you're going into design. Like, I'm going to start pulling inspiration from different examples that I like. Same with animation. I'm going to do exactly the same. I'm going to pull the things in that I like, and then I can have that as a space where I can be like, oh, I remember that animation. I love the way that worked. Maybe that could work with this. And again, you're already flowing. I think one thing that I would say, depending on whatever level you are, and this is something that I used to do, and I know that we probably all do this, is that we open a blank document and we just stare at it, and we think that things are magically going to come to us. And it's such a basic thing that we sometimes don't do. I do it myself. I'm like, I need to get in, I need to do this, and then I'm like, right, reverse, and let's actually spend a little bit of time just building up a little bit of animation, and then you can really go for it.
Love that. There's a lot of comments here, and I'll just relay what the audience is saying to you, Joseph. Thank you so much for doing this today. There's a lot of value here. We're seeing a lot of comments around learning through Webflow and just how insightful this all was. So thank you so much. If it's good with you, we'll wrap up here.
Yeah.
Everyone in the audience, wherever you are virtually, please just a little round of applause for Joseph here. Awesome opportunity for us to kind of learn firsthand through you. I want to do a final shout out to Webflow again for sponsoring today, to providing this as an opportunity for our community to engage and learn. We will be sending a follow-up email that has a recording of today's event. We'll also have the clonable link in there so you can get started on this project. We hope that you really do try to participate here. This is what this is all about, is actually taking this and learning and applying it. And lastly, just keep an eye out for future Dribble Webflow workshops and webinars. We have some cool stuff on the horizon, so just stay tuned for those. Please go follow Joseph on all socials, on all of his accounts to make sure he receives the love he deserves from today. So thank you all again. Joseph, I'll leave you with the final word if you want.
Yeah, thank you very much. As always, a pleasure. Thank you for joining me and supporting me. I really enjoy doing this. I love giving back to the community. This is something that I've always been inspired to do. Hopefully you can see from my enthusiasm of how I present. I just want to give you the tools and ammunition, and I wish you all the best. And I'll see you around. Thank you very much. Cheers, Dribble. Cheers, Webflow. Thank you.